Good afternoon all. So in previous lecture we had discussed with the uh, phases of urine formation. Now today we will discuss the functions of the tubule. See here, the heading is given that the function of tubule. So the whole nephron, it is divided into two parts: Malpighian body and renal tubule. So from PCT onwards up to the collecting duct, the whole tubule is there. So here we have to think about the function of PCT, loop of Henle, DCT and collecting duct. Okay, so now let us discuss with the PCT. Proximal convoluted tubule. In PCT, first point is that it is lined by simple cuboidal epithelium. See, in animal cell, in animal body, four types of tissues: epithelial tissue, skeletal tissue or muscle tissue, nerve cell or nerve tissue, and connective cell. Here, out of these so many epithelium, the simple cuboidal epithelium is lined in PCT and it consists brush borders. To increase the absorption surface area. You know that major portion of the filtrate, it is now entered here inside the proximal convoluted tubule for selective reabsorption. And as you know that the selective reabsorption, it is promoted by to prevent the malnutrition. Required components of the body can be selective reabsorbed in PCT. So for selective reabsorption, the brush borders are there, so it increases the surface area for absorption. The most important line, 70 to 80% of electrolytes and water are absorbed in this segment. Most important MCQ. Okay, 70 to 80%. 70 to 80% of minerals and water, electrolytes and water are absorbed here. Another point which I explained earlier, majority, the whole amount of glucose. Yes, the major portion of the glucose is filtered through the Bowman's capsule. So major portion of the glucose, it is absorbed here. By secretion of hydrogen ions, ammonia and potassium, as well as HCO3 minus absorption, it maintains acidic and pH balance in the body. So these are the most important MCQs. H plus ion, ammonia and potassium ion is secreted here inside the tubule, whereas bicarbonate ion is absorbed. Fine. Now Henle's loop. Loop of Henle has two regions. You know that Henle's loop is hairpin-like structure as well as U-shaped tubule. So here Henle's loop consists two regions. See, first part which goes down. Descending limb. Descending limb of loop of Henle. See, before taking this in detail, I want to explain one more extra point here. You know that up to DCT we can't use the word urine. Fine. So before before CT, convoluted tubule, up to that we use the word filtrate, and after CT, collecting duct, we use the word urine. So here two types of fluids are there. Inside the nephron, filtrate is there, and outside the nephron, interstitial fluid or medullary fluid, which is present in the kidney. Okay, so that point I can write here. You note down that in your mind in a proper way. So next point after this can understand it easily. Fine. So fluid portion. Fluid portion in the nephron up to the DCT region, that is known as filtrate. Inside the nephron, fine? Inside nephron, and the fluid presents outside of nephron, but inside the kidney. The fluid present outside the nephron but inside the kidney itself. So you know that nephrons are situated in the medullary region in the pyramids. So that fluid is known as medullary fluid or interstitial fluid. Fine. So these points you keep it in your mind are very important for understanding purpose. So now move back to this point. Descending limb of loop of Henle, it is permeable for water. So now here what happened? Water moves from nephron towards outside. Fine. As a result, what happened? See, now you imagine here. This thing I will explain in the next topic of this. Concentration of the urine. Okay, mechanism of concentration of the urine. How the concentrated urine is formed. So water moves from the nephron towards the outside. So it means that in the medullary fluid. Fine. So as a result, what happened? Filtrate becomes hypertonic, means more concentrated. Otherwise, what you remember, that medullary fluid concentration decreases. So, and medullary fluid becomes hypotonic, that is less concentrated. So as a result here what happened, the hypertonic, I mean to say here for this you only remember that descending limb of loop of Henle is permeable for water. It allows the water to pass but not to salts. Here what happened, water moves out. So filtrate concentration increases, bus, not more than that, fine. Now second portion, ascending limb of loop of Henle. Before taking in detail this, it is permeable for water, but water pass through osmosis. Okay, so here water passes through osmosis process. Ascending limb of loop of Henle, it is permeable for salts only. Fine, salts can pass through it. But here through the two processes. Ascending limb of loop of Henle is permeable for salts only, not for water. But salts move through diffusion as well as active transport. Now, at the time of drawing the nephron diagram, I properly explained that ascending limb possesses two parts. So in ascending limb, starting part is broad and then later on, sorry, my mistake here, the starting part is narrow and later on broad part is there. Now only you remember that in the starting narrow part, solids move through facilitated diffusion. whereas in the lateral broad part, salts move through active transport, but in the ionic form. Okay. So in this way, here what happened? The salts move outside from the filtrate. As a result, filtrate become hypotonic. Okay. So you have to remember this thing only. See, from the textbook, endless loop. Reabsorption is minimum in its ascending limb. However, this region play a very important, significant role in the maintenance of the high osmolarity of the medullary interstitial fluid. The descending limb of loop of Henle is permeable to water but almost impermeable for electrolytes. Okay? This concentrate, the filtrate, it is moves down. The ascending limb is impermeable to water but allows transport of electrolytes actively and passively. So here passively by facilitated diffusion because electrolytes move through the carrier molecules. Therefore, as the concentrated filtrate passed upward, it gets dilute. So it becomes hypotonic due to passage of electrolytes to the medullary fluid. So here electrolytes move outside. Now the distal convoluted tubule in DCT, what you have to remember, conditional reabsorption of Na plus and water takes place in this segment. See, one word I had written here, ADH hormone. Actually, here in DCT, conditional reabsorption of Na plus and water. If more concentration of Na plus and water amount is more and more amount of the sodium ions are there, under the ADH hormone, antidiuretic hormone, that is also known as vasopressin hormone. This hormone is secreted from the posterior pituitary gland. It controls the water and sodium amount in the urine. So, if sodium ion and water amount is more in the urine, then it is prevented by ADH hormone. reabsorbed the HCO3 minus. Here reabsorption of HCO3 minus. Suppose example here in PCT, if very less amount of HCO3 is absorbed, then another portion of HCO3 minus it is reabsorbed here. Along with that, some more hydrogen and potassium ions are secreted there. Ammonium ion is also secreted there to maintain the pH and sodium potassium balance in the blood. So distal convoluted tubule, it is very important to maintain the sodium potassium balance in our blood. Collecting duct. The collecting duct or the collecting tubule. It is permeable for water. Yes. Now from collecting tubule, water comes out from the urine. If in the urine large amount of water is there, that water is absorbed and then back poured into the medullary fluid or interstitial fluid. But here this is also under control of antidiuretic hormone. The most important MCQ. The lower part of the collecting duct, it is permeable for urea. See, you know that we have to excrete the limited amount of the urea outside of our body. 20 to 30 gram urea per day. If the large amount of urea it is present in the urine, so that little bit amount of the urea it is absorbed from the lower part of the collecting tubule. And see in the diagram, the lower part of the collecting duct, from that urea comes out and then enter back into the endless loop. Or sometime what happened, the little bit amount of the urea is absorbed from the lower part of the collecting duct and poured into interstitial fluid. But this lower part of the collecting duct, it maintains the amount of the urea excreted outside of the body per day. I mean to say 25 to 30 gram urea per day. That is maintained. Fine. So lower part of the collecting tubule is permeable for urea, and here hydrogen ion and potassium ion are secreted to maintain the pH and acid balance, ionic balance in the body. Fine. So these are the functions of the different parts of the tubule: PCT, endless loop, DCT as well as CT. Now let us discuss with the most important point of this chapter: mechanism of concentration of urine. Now, see, the mechanism of concentration of urine is also known as counter current mechanism. The mechanism of the concentration of urine. Here, generally what happened, at every place, ionic balance, pH balance of filtrate as well as medullary or interstitial fluid are maintained. Yes, once filtrate concentration increase, at that time interstitial fluid concentration decrease, and both the side concentration is maintained. But here in counter current mechanism, main target is that to form the concentrated urine. So birds and most of the mammals form concentrated urine by special mechanism known as counter current mechanism. What is counter current mechanism? It concerns with Where counter current mechanism occur, fine, it concerned with okay, it concerned with association between or association of, yes, here you know that Henle's loop is hairpin shaped or U shaped. Along with that, Vasarekha is also U shaped. But you know that runs parallel to Henle's loop, but in opposite direction. This is the most important thing which is not given anywhere. It means what? The Vasarekha is arranged with Henle's loop in such a way. It is in the opposite direction. See how see, this is the most important one. The U-shaped Vasarekha, it is running parallel to the loop of Henle, fine, but in the opposite direction. It is also U-shaped, but it is not hairpin-like structure. I mean to say that descending limb of loop of Henle is associated with ascending limb of Vasarekha and vice versa. Ascending limb of Henle's loop is associated with descending limb of Vasarekha. How? Just I can do one diagram here that we will understand it later on in the next lecture. But briefly, I want to draw the diagram only. Today I can revise it again tomorrow. Same diagram. See, as you know that there is no need to tell you the different parts, the naming of it. Fine. Here this is Bowman's capsule, neck, but I want to show the direction of the filtrate as well as flowing of the urine. Fine. So from the Bowman's capsule, the filtrate move in this direction. Fine. See. This is the most important one. Fine. In descending limb of loop of Henle, the downward direction of the filtrate. Now the filtrate goes up. Okay. So from the ascending limb, the filtrate goes up in the distal cannulated tubule. According to the tubule, it runs through it, and then to collecting duct, it goes down again. Now, as you know that here I can put the dotted line. And you know that why dotted line? Because here cortex part is there, and here medulla part is there. Fine. But what I want to explain today, see here parallel to the loop of Henle, I can draw the vasa rectum. Yes. This is known as vasa rectum. But the most important thing is this here, that vasa rectum in that blood. Now for that vasa rectum, remember we use the word blood. Blood move in this direction. So now what this indicates? That descending limb of loop of Henle is now associated with ascending limb of the vasa rectum. And ascending limb of the loop of Henle, it is now associated with the descending limb of the vasa rectum. Okay, so now please remember here this diagram, and tomorrow in next lecture I will explain the different site, different concentration, and how the concentrated urine is formed. So I hope you understand this. Thank you very much to all for being with me. See you in next lecture.